What is up, everyone? My name is Joseph and welcome back to Dungeon Disasters. In this video, I want to go over the routes that I plan on using in my Mythic Plus pug runs for this upcoming Mythic Plus week. I will say, compared to last week, that a few of the routes have some more advanced strategies to them. I was looking at last week's routes and there's really not a lot I could change that would justify a new video, so I decided to start layering in some additional strategies. Now, I will say that some of them require a little bit of upfront communication before the dungeon starts, but these are all doable in pugs with just a little bit of notice up front. I use these strategies regularly, and I primarily play on my Demon Hunter in pugs, so I can verify that they are able to be pugged, but like I said, they might require a little bit of communication and organization before the dungeon starts, but they don't require communication or voice comms. That being said, before we get into the routes, let's go over this week's affixes. The affixes for this week are Fortified, Sanguine, Grievous, and of course Prideful. In general, this will be a very good week for pushing keys, as the affixes aren't too punishing and Fortified is just a better pushing week than Tyrannical, as keys just generally go faster. Now, you may find that some mob packs are harder than they are Tyrannical weeks, obviously, because Fortified means that mobs hit harder, but on average the keys should go faster. Now, when it comes to Sanguine, in general, this affix can be handled very easily by kiting mobs around if you're the tank, but there are some situations where it can be problematic. If you're in a situation where you have tight corridors and you have a lot of caster mobs, Sanguine Depths is a good example, make sure that if you're the tank or if you're the DPS, you're utilizing your interrupts and displacement abilities to make sure that mobs don't get healed. A Druid's Typhoon, a Demon Hunter's Sigil of Chains, a Monk's Ring of Peace, a Demon Hunter's Grip, there's so many things that players can do, tanks and DPS alike, in order to make sure that mobs don't heal from Sanguines. So just make sure, no matter what role you're playing, that you're on top of that and you're doing everything you can to avoid mobs from healing. Now, moving on to Grievous, this affix can be fairly punishing if you have a healer who's not fully comfortable healing in that type of situation. So as a DPS player, make sure you're doing everything you can to not take avoidable damage so you don't take stacks of Grievous, and make sure you're using your healing abilities in order to remove stacks. Remember, in this expansion, direct healing removes one stack of Grievous, so a Monk's Vivify can be very good at just removing some of your stacks very quickly. I will say that this week especially, Pridefuls are going to be fairly difficult. Because of the AoE damage that Pridefuls do, Grievous is basically there the whole time. So this week, you're going to want to make sure that you use your DPS cooldowns on Pride if you're at the key level where Prides start to take 30 to 45 seconds, because if not, your healer can very easily fall behind. So just make sure you're doing everything you can to make sure Prides die quickly, and outside of Prides, make sure you're not taking avoidable damage as a DPS to not take unnecessary stacks of Grievous, and make sure you're using your defensives and heals in order to remove stacks if you do get a few too many. That's enough discussion on the affixes for this week. Let's get into the routes. Up first, we have the other side. For this dungeon, you do not need any invis or any hard CC. Start off this dungeon by doing a fairly large pull with Lust right off the start, and then go around the circle, pulling as you go until you get to this area right here. Now, if you do skip this spirit by jumping on this balcony, you can do this in one pull. If you aren't able to skip this, split this pull up into two, as you'll spawn Pride in the middle. After that, just kind of go down Hakar's Wing, pulling in a straight line, and then off to the Mechagon area. This is again just pulling in a straight line. One thing I want to note is that you can split this into two pulls if needed. These were nerfed recently, but they're still kind of scary on Fortified. After Mechagon, making sure to Lust on Maleficent, phase 2 of the boss, continue to Arden Wield area. You have some big pulls here, but you'll have Pride for the scary ones and Earn for this green pull. Remember, if you accidentally pull the Matriarch here, just skip these 3 invisible guys here to correct your count. You'll then have Pride and Lust for boss number 3, and then just continue back to finish off the dungeon. Up next, we have Halls of Atonement. For this dungeon, you will need invisibility, but you will not need any hard CC. The first pull of the dungeon is pretty big, so use Lust here, and then continue right for another fairly large pull, pulling these groundskeepers in towards the end if you're scared of a few too many mobs. That'll spawn you Pride, which you'll use for this shard. After the shard, go back to the beginning area, do this pull of 5, followed by this pull of 4. These two can be pulled away just by taunting them. Just make sure you have ranged kicks so they actually walk away. They're not actually linked to this shard. This pack of 4 will spawn you Pride, which you'll use for this shard, and then pull both of these packs to spawn your next Pride. You can pull these up on the top area if you need a little bit of extra space, and with that Pride, kill this shard, go back to the middle of the boss room, pull this pack of 5, kill Halkias. You have a quick pack of 2 before you invis to Echelon's boss room. Here you pull one of the slashers by waiting for the other to turn to stone, kill Echelon with Pride and Lust if you have it up, and then just pull in a straight line, getting Pride and Lust for Lord Chamberlain. Up next, we have Mists. For this dungeon, you do not need invisibility, but you will need a hard CC. Start the dungeon off with this pull of 5, making sure to Belf Racial these to get rid of their on-death effect, and then go into a pack of 4. After the pack of 4, you want to CC this guy in the corner to skip it. Remember, if you're using something like an ice trap, make sure the hunter goes through first, then everyone else goes through, and the hunter feigns death to drop combat once everyone is safe. You then kind of, again, just pull in a straight line up to boss, and after the boss, you're going to do this bigger pull here by pulling this pack of 4 over the wall. It's a little tricky to get it, but once you know what you're doing, it's pretty easy to pull them over the wall. Then the maze is a little bit RNG, so the rest of this is kind of just up to you. Once you get to the ending area here, just pull what you think you can manage, and you don't actually need Pride for the last boss here, so if you get to this point without Pride, just kill the boss, and then after the boss, continue to get the rest of your count, and you'll essentially skip a Pride. It's not needed on Fortified weeks. Plaguefall can be pretty scary on Fortified weeks, so we need both invisibility and hard CC. Start the dungeon off by invising to the first boss room, killing these slimes and 1 Plague Belcher, and then going to the second room, CCing a rigged Plague Borer so you get 1 Plague Borer per pack. Remember, when they get DPS down to 30% HP, they will explode, damaging all allies and enemies within range, so use that to your advantage. Then go back to boss room, kill 1 Plague Belcher to get Pride for a boss, then go back to this room, again CCing one of the Plague Borers so you can get 1 Plague Borer per pull. Then do this pack of 2 here to get the Necrolord buff, and then either invis past this pack of 4 or walk around the outside. Kill this pack of 3, and then the 3 tentacles using the Plague Borers to your advantage that are walking around here. Get Pride for this pack of 4, and then continue along in a fairly straight line, getting Pride for second boss, pulling as you go, getting Pride for third boss, and we are pulling the tentacles downstairs, so you only need 81.5% before going downstairs. Down here, we're pulling all 3 slimes for the Necrolord buffs, then clearing the room to get Pride for the last boss. Sanguine Depths this week is fairly straightforward, but it does require an invis skip, so you will need invis, but not hard CC. Starting off the dungeon, you have a double pull here that you can use the Venthyr Lantern for, if available. Then continue on. You can skip this pack by just waiting for the brute to be on the opposite side and walking by. After that, pull in a straight line, getting Pride for first boss, and continue pulling everything in sight. For this pack here, kill this inside of the room. If you have a Venthyr, they can activate the lantern here, and if they die in this corner, they still count. That'll spawn you Pride, walk across the bridge, and just pull in a straight line around this circle area. After this boss, pull a little bit extra to get around 74%, and then go downstairs, do these 2 pulls to get Pride for this boss. You're then going to want to do this pull, and then invis past this pack here because it's very scary on Fortified. Then just do the gauntlet as normal, get Pride on this pack for last boss. If you do end up dying in the gauntlet and have to pull this pack because you don't have invis backup, just invis past this pack as you'll get Pride on G40 here. For Fortified Spires, you will not need invisibility, but you will need some hard CC. Start the dungeon off by CCing one of the Castigators, because double Castigator in Fortified is pretty hard, and doing this pull of 5. Then the CC'd Castigator and the Goliath can be pulled together, and just go in a straight line, pulling as you go to get Pride for this first boss, and then thus this boss as well. Then go right to do this pack here. You can split it up if you're a little scared, and then go back left, killing these skirmishers down the stairs. You want to then CC this champion and skirmisher to pull the squad leader by itself. The squad leader will give Pride, and then just go along this path, picking up spears when available to get to second boss. You can spear this pack, and this pack will also spawn Pride. Use that for this boss, which you also want to lust. Go up here, kill his Hellion by itself, walk around the balcony to skip this, CCing the Warden if needed. Pull these usurpers behind this pillar. Kill boss, kill these other pack usurpers, go up here, kill these angels independently, spearing and lusting Klothos, the last angel, and then killing the last boss. For Necrotic Wake this week, you will need invisibility or Mind Soothe, but you will not need any other hard CC. Start off this dungeon by doing these 3 pulls to get Pride for boss, and you can use the Securing Goliath as well. One thing to note is that the soldiers will drop Sanguine, the Blightbags will not, but the soldiers will, so be a little careful of the pat timings. Even though you'll have Goliath, Lust, and Pride, Sanguine can kind of throw a wrench in those plans. After that, continue around pulling as you go, and when you get to this pack of 4 here, you're going to want to invis skip or Mind Soothe skip past them. You can grab this spear, pull this pack of 2 after the bridge, and then you want to go left to pull this pack here since the Goliath is right here, and it's super helpful. Continue around the right side, pulling as you go, getting Pride for this purple pack, and you'll still have a little bit left over for this green pack. You can spear this if you're a little scared. Continue to the boss room, go upstairs, pull as I've noted here to get Pride for this boss and decent Pride timings, then take the portal upstairs, kill the final boss, and you're good to go. Up next, we have Theater of Pain with some interesting routing. For this, you will either need invisibility or hard CC for a skip. Starting off the dungeon, you want to skip this pack of 3 by CCing one of the corner guys and walking by, or by invising past. Now you do want to pull this Raging Bloodhorn onto boss with Lust only if you have someone who can soothe, so like a hunter or a druid. You can soothe the Raging Tantrum so he stops it immediately and it does no damage. If you don't have a soother, then just kill this separately and then go into boss with Lust. After that, do 1 plague pack before doing the entire arena area to get pride for this boss. After you're done with there, do 1 more plague pack and then go to the platform area. Now we're switching up the platform area slightly this week in order to get a few extra pulls here. Just make sure that the bone spears get kicked. Other than that, it's not too dangerous. Continue on getting pride for this boss, clearing out the Gorechop area, getting pride for Gorechop, and then going back upstairs, killing the final boss, completely skipping these 3 mobs. And that wraps it up for this video. If you do enjoy this content, let me know. And if you do like more advanced strategies or easier routes, let me know on that as well. I really don't know exactly where I want to take this series. I'm kind of just winging it at this point. I know there's other people who make similar content and they make really good content, so I don't want to be just redundant in that effect. So if there's something you'd like to see from this series, let me know. And with that, that is all I have for this video. I am Joseph. This is Dungeon Disasters. We hope you have a fantastic push week this week, and we will see you next time.